Hello, I am Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be talking about the Creature Quest June updates that were just announced in the in-game news section. So, the developers at VCME have been obviously hard at work, and they actually have quite a few exciting buffs, tweaks, and changes that are upcoming in the game in the following month. So this is almost like a little tease because there are no actual numbers associated with any of the buffs or changes, but more so to give you an idea of what is to come in terms of what creatures are being reworked to help strengthen them to bring them up to, I guess, more top tier status. So the main idea of at least buffing other legendary creatures is to help provide diversification, because one thing that I enjoy about Creature Quest is the diversity in the teams that you bring because of the way that the color counter flowchart works, because it will heavily punish or reward you for bringing intelligent color choices, and ideally you want to have hopefully a larger pool to draw from, so there is a variety of creatures that are seen at least in the PvP ladder, because you don't just want to see the exact same green giant every single time, because it just does too much, and ideally you'd have other green cards to fulfill that at least color slot. So, like I said already, the changes that are being listed here do not actually present any numbers that are being modified, just the idea around it, so you can kind of gain a general understanding of what is to come. Even though there's no numbers, most of these are buffs, and I'll obviously make note of those that are not buffs. So, in terms of the creatures that were buffed, all the legendary dragons, at least the 4 and 5 star versions, received like a small damage boost and now have a 100% chance to cast their debuffs and dots. So I don't know if this actually applies to their fully evolved form, but if it does, it's going to make life significantly easier, because applying those dots have tremendous value, especially in PvE, because debuffing something's luck or power or defense allows you to kill them faster, take less damage, or resist their own debuffs. So these do have applications, and it may hopefully bring use to those creatures, because for the most part they're generally just color counters. And hopefully this at least provides a bit more utility for them overall. Now, at least notable changes within the Legendary Dragon series is the Green Dragon. And the Green Dragon basically provides a poison dot. And they have changed the dot to actually deal more damage per turn, but shorten the number of turns. So this is actually a tremendous buff overall, because you may still be dealing the exact same amount of damage, but you're doing so in a shorter time period. So you're able to reapply that dot sooner and therefore actually pump out much more damage in the long run. So this naturally has the most applications in PvE or Battle Tower, because in PvP, you tend to not want to use dots because you need to kill things faster than that. There's no point in letting things tick out because their health pools are not large enough. But this is a great buff because dots do have a lot of synergy. If you have like that swamp, like the legendary swamp creature, I forget its name, but he can detonate all dots, another good combo to have there. Now, the Gold Dragon has gained a fatigue debuff for more utility, and a fatigue debuff really doesn't do much. It's kind of pointless in PvP. PvE, it has hardly any applications. Like, there's the Mend buff in Battle Tower 51, but you can dispel that, so the fatigue debuff kind of works, but you can also dispel the buffs. Like, it doesn't really do much in this place. So like, they're saying it adds more utility, which is true. Does it have applications? Not really. Because fatigue basically means your creatures or the enemy creatures heal less instead of like their full 100% heal. It may be like a reduced amount. Next is Alchemist, and the Alchemist now is using luck as their multiplier for their special ability, because his luck stat, I guess, is higher. He has a Mend buff, and his dots have now become shorter but stronger. So kind of like the Green Dragon, you're going to be dealing more damage in a shorter period of time, even though you're hitting for the same amount overall. So it's a buff for the most part. And this is actually an interesting rework, because the Alchemist kind of did a bit of everything, and it was never just good enough to be used fully. And with this change, hopefully, like with the luck, using luck instead of power will make it so he actually is more competitive in terms of output. If the Mend buff is significant, he actually will have a lot of viability. He'll be kind of used almost like an Ifrit, in the sense that Ifrit provides a very strong Mend. If Alchemist provides a strong Mend, he can help you sustain through very challenging Battle Tower dungeons, and that dot application will at least provide some damage output at the same time. So Alchemist could become quite an exciting card if that Mend buff is strong enough. Next is the Archangel, and the Archangel now uses the Archangel now uses attack, so he does actually have higher attack than power, and it's focusing on more damage to fewer targets for higher consistency. So I do own a 3-dot Angel. It was actually my very first legendary, so I do like it quite a bit. And he actually is not that strong, to be honest. Like, I just like it more so because of my best white nuker, and it fills the white slot the best for my teams. And his output is actually quite low. Compared to virtually any other nuker I own, his output is actually on the lower end. Even if all the extra secondary hits hit the primary target, it's still doing less power damage overall. So changing this to attack might at least buff his output to help keep it a little more consistent with other damage nukers. Like, for instance, the giants all hit harder and they're just better overall. So hopefully this brings Archangel a bit more in line with them. He does have like the nice splash feature with the little dot. It's a little bit of extra damage, not so great in PvP, a little helpful in PvE, but hopefully this gives him enough damage to be competitive, because right now, to a certain extent, his main strength is I have the very first awakening, and it provides me with a enhanced chance to critically strike. So that's where possibly a lot of my damage is coming from, instead of actually his baseline multiplier. So again, hopefully buffs Archangel to a point where you can use him as a viable white nuking card. Chimera is an electric card who may not have been used very much because he didn't do anything strong enough to basically warrant a slot on any team. He just kind of did a bit of everything. His dot wasn't that strong, so you just really didn't want to use him. And this tweak is actually going to possibly rework him to a much stronger and competitive creature, because now he uses luck instead of power, so hopefully his luck value is high enough, and it's going to be able to deal more damage overall. Furthermore, the poison hit to the main target is actually going to be comparable to the Phoenix, and that's going to mean it's going to one-shot things in Dungeon Defense that are not at least wood creatures. So that can be quite exciting, and he's also going to be having awakenings that provide vastly increased survivability. What does that vastly increased survivability mean? I don't know, but I want to explain that the Phoenix is incredibly powerful because it has a self-heal when it applies its dots. The dot kills anything that's not water. It will also self-resurrect itself upon death, and that means if you kill it once, it can potentially resurrect to full health. It's fully awoken, and it can just keep continuously applying those dots and healing itself and killing off your team one by one. So in order for the Chimera to be competitive with the Phoenix, it needs to have a very significant survivability built into it. It has to be able to survive long enough for those dots to tick. Because what if the Chimera gets nuked down instantly, the dots never tick? Or if it does manage to apply the dots, survive one cycle, possibly the player might just avoid using the creature that has the dot and then not actually have it tick and kill their creature off. So the Chimera needs to live long enough for it to actually have one of those, that large poison dot expire, because that's what makes the Phoenix so strong. It does survive long enough that that dot will expire and kill someone. So I don't know what these survivability awakenings are. I doubt it's a resurrect. It doesn't fit with the whole Chimera theme. Maybe it's dramatically reducing damage from special abilities, perhaps. Maybe it's going to be a heal, kind of like the Green Giant, or it could be just very high luck, so it's going to avoid the stun so it can cast its ability. Maybe, I'm not sure, but hopefully it gives Chimera a bit more value, and maybe we'll see a bit more gameplay. Next is Kieran, and Kieran has now added random cleanses to occur before the heals, basically providing an extra layer of utility. So before this cleanse buff came in, Kieran is probably or pretty much the strongest healer from a raw healing potential output, because he provides 10 random ticks of 60% luck. So that's 600% luck of healing. That's incredible. You oftentimes don't even need to combo Kieran for it to heal your team up for crazy amounts of health. And it allows you to use Bard Tome, which generates mana faster, gives you more luck. So again, it feels itself very well. And he also provides up to a 50% luck buff of 1 awakening, and that's key for defeating Battle Tower 51. I have it clear using an elephant, not the Kieran, unfortunately. The elephant's farmable, but the luck buff is critical. And this made Kieran actually very powerful overall, but the major weakness they had was the fact that their heals were random, so it might hit the wrong person 10 times and not actually heal someone who needed it. So you may, even though you have such massive healing output, you may not actually heal the right person. But the biggest downside was no cleanse, because other healers like Druid and the farmable Siren at least had cleanses built in, so they could remove those debuffs. But adding these random cleanses to a random tick heal for Kieran could potentially make him the strongest healer in the game, because he has the highest output. He could potentially cleanse many debuffs, so he actually is quite exciting, and he could potentially be used as the staple Battle Tower 51 card if you don't want to bother using the elephant. So this is good news. Kieran just became incredibly strong. And another great aspect of Kieran is that most people tend to not fill their floor 1 of dark creatures, so Kieran will almost always survive to get his mana up to heal your team. So that's another great benefit, because a lot of players counter Siren by filling their dungeon with electric cards, and so on and so forth, but you rarely see dark creatures on the floor 1. So this is good news for Kieran users. And the last major upgrade is to Megalodon, and Megalodon now uses attack to basically capitalize on the higher attack versus power value. It removes the random targeting, oh thank goodness, and adds a slight damage increase, basically making it more reliable damage dealer. So prior to this, Megalodon, I do own him. He's a pretty terrible nuke because A, it's random targets, you can't snipe off something that you really need to kill, and B, the actual output is actually quite low. For instance, the Frost Giant hits harder, is tankier overall, and stuns, and is not random. Megalodon is much worse by comparison, so by shifting his special ability around to this, hopefully he's dealing damage that's competitive enough to be viable to use as a nuke over, say, even just a Frost Giant, and he also will be able to target who you want to kill, which is important, because before it was kind of like I'm going to play Russian roulette, and oh, that thing dies. Whoop-de-doo. Like, it wasn't the right target. So this could be exciting, and one nice aspect of Megalodon is he ignores defense. So he does have the potential to be a strong nuke, provided he does have enough attack value and the multiplier is high enough to keep up. Furthermore, he's actually the current gold reward from the dungeon PvP challenge, so you have the potential to acquire a Megalodon of your own this week. Now these are some major, these are minor fixes. I think the Banshee and Fire Giant just fixing bugs that are happening, but Katendaru, or basically the Kangaroo, who is a nightmare at the moment, is finally getting corrected, because he was basically, with his awakenings, hitting for far too much damage. He would be one-shotting essentially any water creature in the game except for Stegosaurus. And that is a problem, because it's a medium creature and one of them can one-shot a water creature. It's just not right. Maybe kill Siren, that makes sense. Siren's supposed to be squishy, but not something like that's a, say, Ice Queen that's a little more durable by comparison. So it is something that's finally fixed. Hopefully you start seeing less of those spawns on floor 1s and your life is a little happier. Siren, Shaitan, and just Silence overall just get slight fixes. Silence will just show you the Silence immune icon now, kind of like how the Stun had the Stun immune icon as soon as it landed. And now we're getting like some stat modifications for balancing purposes. I believe these are buffs overall, because they actually said buffs in the patch notes. So Alchemist, Archmage, Banshee, Chimera, Cyclops, Green Dragon, Kieran, Lich, Pyromancer, and Succubus will all receive stat buffs. So this will hopefully keep them a little more competitive, make them do a little bit more damage, survive a little longer, or land their debuffs with higher luck. And now we come to the nerfs. Now Megalodon gets a nerf on paper to his to his 8 attack value, but because his special ability is being reworked, it's actually not too bad. He's dealing more damage overall. It's not really a nerf, it's really just a tweak to prepare for his buff that's coming. But the real nerf that's occurring is to Forest Giant. Surprisingly not to Phoenix, but to Forest Giant. Because Forest Giant, like I've said it many times before in my previous videos, is probably the most well-rounded and strongest creature in the game. He does everything. He stuns, he's incredibly tanky, he heals, he counterattack heals, and he's just very hard to kill. So I think the Creature Quest development team kind of realized this, and they're trying to rein in a bit of his power to the dismay of everyone, including myself, who just dumped their greater essences into him. But they're going to be shifting his health around because he had massive health due to being part of the Giant Pantheon. So they're going to take away his health and push it into the defense. So this overall change should make him squishier, but hopefully it's not to the extent that Stegosaurus got nerfed, because Stegosaurus went from hero to kind of zero. So I pray that my Green Giant doesn't get nerfed that badly. Hopefully it's a smaller tweak that makes him a little easier to kill, I guess. But it's never fun seeing a nerf to your favorite card, but in all honesty, it was a little too strong, and it did need a nerf for the most part. Because, for instance, I have my Forest Giant at level 105. I just got the 15% Awakening for health. I have full totems, I have a Soldier Tome, and I have over 22,000 health. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, but it's probably going to be reined in a bit. But even so, it's going to hopefully be tanky enough to at least survive at least 1 or 2 fire spawns on floor 1. So, in conclusion, there are a lot of exciting features coming to Creature Quest in the upcoming month, and I personally really can't wait to see all the new changes, especially how they're reworking or tweaking the guilds aspect. So, let me know in the comments below which change or buff you are most excited for, and furthermore, I do encourage you to join my Discord server. I do have a Creature Quest channel that has a growing community, so you can at least talk about Creature Quest with various high-ranking players. I've got some of the big names in gold, like a lot of the top 3 finishers, so there is a lot of knowledge you can gain from talking to these players. So, hopefully you all have a mantastic day, and happy questing.